like I said, um, my point is this: I will continuously make videos and continuously put things in perspective, because perps tend to get lost in whatever they can manipulate, whatever they can create. They live a world where they create this fantasy of theirs, and then unfortunately at one point that fantasy ends, unfortunately for them, which is good for me. But me, I understand reality. I understand that logic and reality is being erased and created into a fantasy. That's why they like to use childlike individuals, right? And that's why childlike individuals like to speak when reality is about to be a perception they're gonna observe. And these childlike people are the saddest part, because the reality is gonna hit them harder than anybody else. At least the older ones, the adults, they know it's gonna come for them. Kids can create fantasies of all sorts. They can make a fantasy, and it's funny when they try to talk in certain ways, and then you see me, and like they get that little shock of like, oh my gosh, this is the real world. It's like it's real, because what they do to me is done remotely. They see this, and even adults are get lost in these fantasies. A while ago, you see this baby. Of course, they do the baby. I told you, this baby girl, right? If it was a boy, it would be like they would like put it lower, because I was holding a little boy not too long ago, and so because it's a little baby girl, they're gonna try to create something. You see that, and I see that. And they do these things. As you can see me, when I'm talking, they try to do these things to me. And that's what they do. Now, immediately they start yelling, "Oh, we're lying, huh?" And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not lying. You tell the truth. That's what you guys do. You guys are truth tellers. And you live in an environment where there's not a lot of pedophilia going on. And so they want you to subscribe to these things. As I'm saying that, I'm moving my legs, and they try to create some friction to create some sexual stimulations onto that. It's so sad. And you hear some trash saying, Like I said, that's the kind of world they're in, right? So you understand that at some point there'll be a thing that's going to come to them, right? It doesn't take much. And then when I hear them, I'm like, I can only imagine when I see you how certain I'll be of that. It's so pathetic. It's so sad. But that's what they do. And I'm glad they do these things, because it's just like I've been so validated. And I know that people who do this kind of things, it's just a matter of time. And these people are extremely cowardness. Like, it's just like the weakest of the weakest. So it doesn't even, like, they don't even need the extreme target individual. I don't understand. When you see these people, you sometimes look at it as like, it's not fair. Like, but to me, I'm looking at it as like, it's extremely fair, because the people who's involved in them in this program they're like, some of them are like, oh my goodness, it just would take so little. You literally in your life have to do this kind of noise. You're never gonna be at war. I know this is, to me, this is what they use as coping mechanism, but they have done that to others. This is so disgusting that in your lifetime, and these people in this perps lifetime, they have to like use these ways of tormenting people. That was a way to be like, for me to try to turn things into pedophilia. It's a grown woman saying that. It's an adult person with self-respect, apparently, who's doing that. And she tries to sound fierce, saying that this trash is gonna die at one point. At one point, she's gonna die. I don't try to dramatize it. I'm just trying to put it in the right perspective. And so when you hear these people, these nasty low lives, that I will hope that I get a chance to see them, it's just so sad. So you see this baby, this adult woman looked at this baby and wanted me to have this perspective of pedophilia, and it's like, this is the kind of trash that's involved in this. Now, if you look at them, you understand they're not anything special. She claims this is word, and this is why she has to sound this way toward this baby. And this is so sad. But I'm glad that they are in this. Like, it's not sad because I'm glad they're doing it, because I'm glad that these bottom feeders have to live this life. You know, they find the joy of torturing me, kind of escape from reality, what they're part of, right? And how nasty they have to make themselves be. Is there's nothing you can do to make that sound cool or fierce. This trash will have a time in life where misery or death will come to them. And before they died, this is the things they had to do. Looking at this baby, to turn these things into pedophilia. And then try to sound like, oh yeah, it won't be. No, it's obvious that it will be. It's obvious. I'm not talking to some like top person at the same time. I'm talking about like some bottom feeder. This trash. She saw me tortured in every way possible, but understand that I was dead already. In the mean that I was put in a program by people with so much more influence than this bottom feeder. That's like, and that's how she's making whatever living she's making at this point by choice. And to counter that, she's like, black girl, this is life. And she believed that this is winning in her pathetic life. They tell me how they can whoop my ass, they rape my ass, all of that to counter this. As if whooping my ass, raping me, or torturing me will change this moment. This is the pathetic human beings that these pedophiles have contracted. These people will die from whatever death comes to them. They are so desperate that right now in the hallways they try to block this reality that I'm saying. Am I saying something special? No. But because they want me to look at this baby in these pedophilia ways, they're trying to find a way to counter that. These things they do to me to try to counter reality is so pathetic. At what point do you think reality is going to come to them? Of course it's going to come mean as they were. Somebody, can you imagine me? I'm a perp. I had to say these things when they look at this baby and try to create some pedophilia things. And then after, they're gonna whoop your ass. They whooped your ass, they're gonna flog you, they're gonna torture you. I'm like, this is what I'm doing in real time right now. And I'm speaking over this person to try to counter this person, to counter reality in every fashion possible. This is what you call a loser that doesn't even know that they're losers. And then I'll go to the next slide, to the next profile, which is because I'm on this Bumble app, whatever, and I see somebody searching in the bio saying, I'm looking for my number one. And it's like, you remember, you're number one. And you know what, the way they were trying to counter that is like, remember when you thought you like, because I remember when they were like, initially before knowing that these people were like really like this type of people who do this manipulations, and I was a target individual. As a target individual, you have this whole ecosystem where around you everybody is involved into you accepting these things, and the pedophilia type of torture and all that. So I didn't know that, right? So I was like, what? Like, and they're talking about me as a kid. And it's like my number, like, what is it? It's like they make it sound like, because they were talking about what I did as a child. It's like, am I number one? Or like, what? It's as if like what I did as a child is like made me like this number one most, like, and realizing it's like, let me look at in reality, look at what's this what kind of issues and pedophilia and pedophiles around my area. Finding out there's a bunch of pedophiles. People who rape children as young as 4 years old and all that, and finding out more and more and more, and finding out, matter of fact, don't even look too far. These people that are doing these things to me, these entities that have contracted them, yes, there's a bunch of pedophiles in these agencies. There's an issue of pedophilia in the agencies that have contracted these low lives. They're like, there's problems with pedophilias in these same agencies contracting these low lives that implement this pedophilia type of torture. So they get like embarrassed in so many levels, and then talk about how I'm gonna be my ass is gonna be whipped because they can't even say Roy Moore. And you see how my brain has been so wired and manipulated by people who are scared to be seen, not because they're scared of me, even though now they're kind of scared because I'm looking at them as like, these are the people who torture children. There's some people who are involved in programs that manipulate people to think and look at kids in these ways. Like somebody's like, in the refuge they find this, they're gonna whoop your ass, they're gonna rape your ass. I'd rather get my ass tortured than having to do what they do. These people are pedophilia centric, like it ever gets. They force people to think in this pedophilia ways. That's why they're like, And I try to find ways to counter reality. But remember when you were like questioning what's going on here? Like, why would it so many people talk about me as a kid? Like I've done the foulest thing as a child, even though I was a child. Well, and then looking at reality, and it's like, talking about pedophiles. Look at this bunch of pedophiles living around me. Let's not even look too far. These people doing this to me are renowned to be doing pedophilia type of torture. Let's not even look too far. The people who are contracting these slow lives are pedophiles, and this is why I'm seeing things these ways now. And they try to contract. They're a pedophile. Like, do you understand your words means just you're contracted to come up with this BS? Do you understand reality is that you work for pedophiles and you are the pedophile? And you yelling something doesn't mean anything at this point? That's just your job. You work for pedophiles. You are the pedophiles. What do you think is going to happen? He's like, and they send his kids, they sound like children hoping that something doesn't happen to them. They've worked day in and day out to try to make me subscribe to something that's falsified, and they know that, obviously, that's their job. There's a grown woman who literally say, when they make me look at this baby. When I talk about what they're doing to me toward this baby. That is a grown woman, an adult, who have to take a shower, have to wash herself, have to eat breakfast, who have to drink coffee or whatever she has to do. And who's going to die? The way they make themselves sound in this delusional world that they've created for themselves that know it's going to end, to try to make me subscribe to these things. So my target individual stay strong. Because these pedophiles who have somehow thought that I'm going to subscribe to this pedophilia type of torture, when they obviously try to force me to experience this pedophilia type of tormenting, saying when they see this baby, to try to make me subscribe to these things. And you know what they do? They try to make me think, but remember when you thought you were like number one? I never thought I was number one. I was like, why? They're acting as if, because at that point, if I listen, you have this whole ecosystem all around. Everybody's screaming, it's you, this. It's like, am I like this doesn't even make sense. Before I knew that what I was in, right? You know that you're a target individual. At some point you find out that you're a target individual. And why there's so many people around you doing this thing to you is because you're a target individual. And so I'm not like, what are you talking about me as a kid doing these stupid things? You make it sound like I'm like this the number one is pedophile. I'm like when I'm just whatever I did as a child. It's stupid, something a child can do. And it's like I'm trying to put things back in perspective, and putting things in perspective, finding out that like I have like people in 1 block away who've raped kids, probably even involved in my targeting. And then you add these layers that these people have been doing the peripheral type of torture. They've been forcing grown men and women to look at children in these peripheral ways. This is what they do. And the people around you are supposed to make you subscribe to these manipulations. And then you add to the layer that these people that do this thing around you are contracted by entities filled with pedophiles. And this is why there's so many pedophiles in these agencies, from DOD to DARPA. And now when you make you look at these babies, they're like, And they like try to make themselves these femme fatales, like, fuck yeah. To my target individuals, I see these bottom feeders for this low lifeness that they are. These pedos that try to make you accept this nonsensicalness and these disturbing things toward these babies. They can't even speak about a pedophile to find out these entities that contract this low life are filled with pedophiles. How much embarrassment can one have? How much humiliation can one have in a lifetime? They're making me listen to chains. I'm like, what? I will run this chain. These low-life pedos are renowned for torturing. They're renowned for doing a perfect type of torture, and they torture babies that die young. And they use these childlike people that will never get the courage to even look at you in person at this point. Laughing, yeah, it's you. Because they made me think in these illogical ways. They beat me. Trash, you will have to die. And you don't know how. Me, the dying man, who knew what you guys do to people, can tell you that you will be reimbursed. They have been trying to go over me and try to override me with these nonsensical ways. And they're like, oh, we got you. No, you got yourself. You got yourself, you embarrass yourself. Now you can never look at yourself. In front of me, I'll embarrass you. Tell my target individuals, stay strong. Because they will force you to look at these babies in these disturbing ways and try to make you subscribe to it. Guess what they said to counter that? A black girl. Tell my target individuals, stay strong. Know that justice will be done.